Hi everyone, happy Canada Day or Memorial Day or whatever celebrations may be in your area. All right, just getting sorted here. Okay, so we are here for a special celebratory 2-hour live stream, and we are going to be working on the card that we worked on last time, which I have not named yet. So let me just get my stuff together here. I was working on it earlier, getting the line art together, and I realized I hadn't named it yet, but I didn't have the information of which card it was. So 8 of coins, circus, snake, charmers. So this is the one we worked on last week. Yes, sorry, there were 2 live streams and I got lost. So yes, there are 2. I just had the strangest surprising thing happen. As I was writing my first message, a bunch of balloons popped up. Well, that's magic. I do love that. Was that on Behance? And were they all thumbs up ones? Because if they were, that means Adobe Live's here. But I thought that was just on my stream. If not, that's magic. I've been finding a bunch of things by accident on FaceTime that my phone will do. I've had my thumbs up, a bunch of thumbs up happens. For some reason, like the peace sign too is like balloons. It's chaos. So I do love a magical, surprising thing like that, Keys. That's hilarious. Okay, so yeah, this time, yes, so that means I think Adobe Live should be here. Yes, they are here. So we are here with Adobe. Hello, Adobe. So last week we worked through this sketch on this, which was a lot of fun because I got to show you how I incorporate AI into my references and my starting points. Just making sure. Sorry, I was cooking earlier. I wanted to make sure I actually turned the oven off. It's too warm to be leaving it running. So we worked through how I use the things for references and how I will work together with, there we go, sorry, clean up the camera there we go, and how I build my sketches and things. Unfortunately, the Behance stream of that is still processing, so if you do want to go back to that one, I think it was a really great stream. If you want to go back to that one, it's on YouTube and on Facebook as well. The links should be in the chat below. Let me check. Yes, all of them are below. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, yes, they're all there. So take a look at those if you missed that stream, because it was actually a really good one. And I had the sketch laid out this way where they were face to face. And then I woke up in the morning and realized that I could try the 2 charmers back to back. And it looked really good too. Like my initial painting that I did of this card many years ago had them back to back, and they're kind of like had like a braided headpiece, and they were kind of braided together. It looked really cool. So I think that, but I put it out to the Instagram and the Facebook and all the socials, and for a long time it was 50-50. People were feeling both sides of it. But then it came out kind of the face-to-face was kind of more harmonious and kind of more working together, which is kind of the idea of these cards. There's not really a lot of conflict in this scenario or anything. So we went with face-to-face, but I do have another file saved here for this document to do a back-to-back eventually. I think I'll probably do like a print or something of that in the back, because there's a lot of potential to have them kind of interweaving. But a lot of people did like how the face-to-face is harmonious, but also kind of the flutes kind of draw your eye to the snakes, which is kind of the focal point of what's going on here. So then I got to do a surprise live stream on Friday, which was a lot of fun. Like I mentioned, today's Canada Day here where I'm at. And so at my work, I was able to get, I have a 4-day weekend. So I took some time on Friday morning to do a live stream with everybody, which was a lot of fun. I was able to catch some people that I don't always get on different time zones. So that was a great time to do that. So we worked through inking some of this. And then today I sat out in the sun and we finalize the inking. So we have our hierarchy lines. You can see here, if you watched on Friday, you'll see that the snakes are a lot more prominent. They're jumping out a little bit more. They were, without that big solid line on the edge, they were fading into the charmers a little bit. So you can see the impact of that line. Even here, it was getting a little blurry, hard to read, and then now you put them back on and you can see that they're easier to read. The work that we're going to do today, we're going to throw in some color. I have a few techniques I want to try because there's different things that are a little different about this card, so I think we're going to play around with the paper patterns and see how they work. But when we put more color in and start putting in shadows and things like that, they'll be even more prominent because they're going to be front of the line on this card for sure. Okay, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to merge all of our lines here just to keep my layers a little bit clean because we've been a little bit muddy lately. Now I know some of these are lines that I did before. Yeah, I took some out on the Friday live stream because I moved a few things around just to kind of have it take up more space. But I'm keeping those layers just in case I decide I want to do something else about it. Okay, so we're going to throw in some paper patterns here and start coloring, which I'm super excited about. So the deal with these snakes is they are going to be, hang on a sec, let me just check something because I think, oh, it's a black and white card. Okay, so that means, okay, we'll throw in a color here. So with these cards, we have, instead of a red suit and a black suit, we have a black and white suit and a full color suit. So in this case, we have a black suit and we're gonna have some red accents in here. So what I'm gonna do initially, we did this on another card, is I'm gonna do a hue saturation layer and I'm gonna suck out all the saturation there. And then I'm going to, I think that's all I need to do. Let's toss in another card. I think I want this one next. Go big. Yeah, so we'll finish that. And then if I move this below that layer, what should happen is it should desaturate. Oh, let's take that out. Yeah, so everything below that saturation layer. So what I did is I took an appearance layer and did a hue saturation, and you can do any alterations you want to it. So you could saw the different saturation. I can make them all kind of more blue or do a whole pile of adjustments to them. Let me see if I can I adjust this layer? How come you can't adjust it? That seems weird. Oh, there it is. Sorry. So you open the layer properties, and so we can have a little bit of color. We can have a lot of saturation. I could play with the colors and have it be like more purples and blues and stuff. And whatever I do to that, every layer that's underneath it is going to be impacted by that. So we don't want to go too crazy here. We just want black and white. So everything that's below this is going to be black and white, which is key because I want to have most of the card be black and white, like the fortune teller and the kittens one I did before. There's going to be accents of red, but I don't know that that'll be on the snakes, at least not yet. Maybe like their eyes or something will be red, but I think like the bandanas and kind of scars on the charmers will be red. But I want to do the snakes first because I have a really cool idea for them. So I'm going to throw in one more paper pattern here. So we kind of have a lighter one, a middle ground, and I want a darker one, but I don't know if I want to go full black, but I don't think this one will work. So maybe we will go full black just to kind of emphasize the point. Now that pattern is here. Oh, it's just below the other layer, so that's why we can't see it. There it is. Because I think the one I was gonna add is gonna have too much white. Okay. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna add in one more because I just wanna make sure that I have the right one. Come on. This one. Yeah, I think there's too much white in that. Like this doesn't look darker than that. Okay, so we're gonna just leave that for now. You'll see what I'm going to. I want this pattern to be darker than the other one. Okay, so undo this. So you can see we have a light, medium, and a dark. That's key. Okay, so the flowers are facing up. Did I rotate this one around? Yes, so it's facing upwards and this one doesn't have an up. Okay. So what we're gonna do first is show this. I'm gonna create an empty mask, invert. Create an empty mask, invert. Create an empty mask, invert. You could work the other way and kind of subtract the mask down. That's a lot of work. It's a lot to keep in mind and deal with it. So that's why in this case, I'm revealing the layers as opposed to hiding it away. It'll just be a lot more erasing and kind of a little more tedious. So revealing the layers, you see we have this here. So the plan here, I'll explain what's going on. The snakes, this is inspired by the Night Circus book. Everybody who is newer here, it's one of my very favorite books ever. And I'm just using that kind of inspiration. There's a lot, if you've read it, a lot of beautiful kind of like visuals that come out of reading the book. And I was completely inspired when I read it. And I wanted to do like a very like kind of like accurate depiction of it, but I was like, I don't want to like impose on the artist and the author of the book. So I kind of went more inspired. So I'm taking some of my own liberties and things like that with it. But a cool element of the snake charmers in the book is that they have the snakes like in the act, like this is one of those acts that's kind of out on the street of the circus. They are performing, and as they do, the snakes turn from white to black. So that's the effect we're going to be going for here, which I'm very excited to try out because I have no idea how it's going to go. I've never done this with the paper patterns before. Key says, I'm familiar with the technique, but only in Photoshop. Nice to see it's possible in fresco too. Yes, I love that fresco kind of meshes together all my favorite parts of Illustrator and Photoshop and different softwares that I can kind of incorporate some of that knowledge in. That really helped me in learning it because I taught myself fresco. So that was really great in that I already knew Illustrator very well and some parts of Photoshop. So I was very happy to see that a lot of this was really transferable. The only thing is that it's on the iPad where I learned here, and I've used Illustrator and Photoshop mainly on the desktop, so getting used to not having keyboard shortcuts was an adjustment, but it's the only way I learned fresco. So I think I wasn't kind of held back. It didn't hold me back at all not knowing the shortcuts because I didn't know any other way. But using Illustrator on the iPad, I just haven't done it very often because I'm just faster in desktop because I'm a shortcuts person. But I'm sure if I sat with it, I'd eventually adjust to it quite fine. But I like to click the keys while I go. So that was the biggest adjustment for me. But yeah, learning some of the tools and layer interactions and multiplies and all that kind of stuff, it's very transferable if you're familiar with Illustrator and Photoshop. Okay. So I'm not going to get too fussy with this right now because I don't know if this is going to work. So now we're going to move to the medium one, and I'm going to switch to a soft round. Is this big enough? Yeah, it is. Okay, we'll put this on top now. I had it underneath, but I think to save me some aggravation, we're going to have it do this. So the advantage of the soft round brush is it gives me that soft edge so you can see the patterns kind of transforming into one another, but it's really subtle, which is what I'm hoping for. I don't want it to be on a harsh line here. I want it to be very soft and subtle. I want some of this, I want some of it to kind of cross over onto different parts of the snake as well, so that we're not too matchy-matchy. And then here I just see we have like, this brush is a pressure sensitive one. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, so sorry. So the harder I push down, the more clear the pattern comes through. Whereas the other one, I've turned that off, like the hard brown brush, I turned that off for different other projects. So I didn't have to do that. So just something for me to keep in mind for how I set up my brushes. Okay, so for the hide, I want to go back to our basic brush here. I'm going to hide it out here because I don't want this pattern this high. And we'll do some of these edges here. And you can use pretty much any brush on your mask, which is pretty cool because like if you use like a splatter one, then you can have all these different effects kind of sneaking in, which is really cool. So depending on how you use masks in your art, if you use them at all, you can use pretty much any brush here, which is super great. And I'm not too worried about right now about the bellies of the snake, because I think we're going to put those over top later. I don't know how I'm going to handle that just yet. So that's why I'm not cleaning those up at the moment. Just cleaning up the edges here. Trying to remember which patterns we're using. Seems the stream is smoother today. We were having some buffering problems, but I think that's because my phone, which is doing this camera here, was wireless. And I think it was trying to talk to the computer and trying to do too much, making the stream a frustrating process. So hopefully that's what fixed it. And hopefully that doesn't come back. Okay, cool. All right, now we're gonna do It's not very black, is it? I wonder if we do a different one. Extremely black, but I think once you actually start putting our shadows and stuff in, we might be okay. We might be okay. Because we're going to be all the dark lines and stuff in there, you'll see like we're doing the stained glass cleanups, so like treatment on it, so we'll have an opportunity to get lots of black shadows in here to darken it up a bit. Now I'm a little bit uncertain what to do with these center bits of the snakes. I'm going to leave it as a gap, or fill it in somehow. So we'll see how this turns out. I've never done this kind of fade from one pattern to another before, so we'll see how it goes with shading and all that other kind of stuff when we get to that point. We have a question, Keys. I have a question that perhaps is very silly. Never a silly question. Couldn't you make automatic masks from the outlines you drew and then place your masks in that one? There's lots of different ways you can handle the masks. I know you can make your line art a reference layer as well, and have just kind of just do the fill, use like the little fill tool. There is some adjustments sometimes with the how it fills. Like sometimes like I can do an outline and fill it, and then but there'll be sometimes like a little gap between the lines depending on how strong I did my line art. You can just do that fill, and it would be a lot quicker, and then you can just go in and adjust that if you'd like. There's also and that would be also depend on how I create my line art. With these it's probably okay because I had the stained glass lines on a separate layer, so it probably wouldn't impact it too much, but just filling each little gap would take a long time. So yes, there are definitely faster ways we can do this. Actually, you know what I could do? I don't know if I can do it from a group. Let's see. Everything's all grouped together, so let's try set as reference. So I'll show you just like a small example. So what I did was I set the little kind of belly lines as a reference. So let's pick this layer. I think now see it factors in the lines. You can see there's kind of that light pixel, which you can adjust with your color margins. At one point, now it's gonna make me a liar. Yeah, at one point it's gonna fill everything, which is fine. I just find like, and this is actually not too bad for when you zoom out, it's not too shabby, so you can make that a reference line. I could also group all my line arts, maybe minus my stained glass lines, and make it go a little quicker. Actually, let's play with that. Let's do that. So let's see. Release reference, just to keep things a little bit messy, less messy. Duplicate layer group, and we're gonna hide our original. All right, let's play with this. So let's, not those ones. So let's do, this is also reliant on you having really good clean lines. So if I select multiple here, I do this one and this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now merge selected. Okay, good. I intentionally did not pick the stained glass lines because then we'd be doing each individual section, which is no fun at all. And then I'm going to set as reference. And I chose the outside main hierarchy lines as well, because if there's any point of contact within the inside lines that I initially did that has a hole in it, it's gonna fill all the space. Whereas the hierarchy lines are probably gonna save me from too much cleanup that needs to be done. So let's do this one. And I want to hide the layer, and there we go. It's using all of our line art to go together. Now, there are a couple of things that are going to be a little pixelated, a little bit of edges that we may want to clean up after, but we can definitely work with that a little bit. You see, there's just a couple like overlapping pixels and things, but not a huge big deal. We're going to be throwing shadows and stuff at this in a little while. But yeah, you're right. It's less tedious to watch. Okay. Oops, wrong one. This one. There we go. And then we'll do the same on this one. Oops, hide layer. Let's clean these guys up a touch. It wasn't going to be a problem here because we were going to fill in some of the space. And overlap those guys a little bit, but see, that works really well. Okay, so let's save this. Just hide this because I'm going to forget that it's there. Okay. Okay, so let's do, where's this one? No, hide layer. There we go. Sorry, there's a little bit of pixels hanging around there. We've got, oh no, Jure. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Thank you for joining the stream. Good evening to you. I appreciate you coming out. I know it's kind of late for some people, so I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm here. Okay, so what I do want to do is, this is the black layer. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my crazy brush and add in some here. Or no, what I had this one coming down. That's right. So hide some of this then. There we go. That's what we wanted. Just to make some adjustments. I am so sorry, Jerry. I don't, I'm unable to read that language. I'm so sorry. Okay, so let's save this. Yeah, I wanted just some of that kind of overlap to come further down to the black part of the snake, just to show that it's a gradual situation rather than it being kind of chopped up. I want that to be kind of a gradual scenario. And I actually think I might, is this one? Bring it up here a little bit more. Reveal. Hide. And then hide, but use this brush. All right. Okay, so that's the first set. I've got to think about what I want to do with which pattern I want to do for. Maybe I'll use like this, because I was worried the paper patterns are going to be a little too much for the, I'm thinking of like the belly. This will be better, I think, because it won't take over too much. And we have to use the bigger one on the background, or I'd like to use the other one on the background, so this will be perfect. So if we do a mask again and invert that mask, now we'll use sort of what Hues was suggesting. I think probably as close to it as I can get. Oh, we have Dan in the chat. Hello, Dan. Thanks for joining in with your crazy art setup on the go. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm definitely going to suggest some of the local art stores that I have do gallery spaces. It's such a good idea. Because I know when I go to see art, I'm sorry, for those of you who didn't see Dan's live stream earlier, he's setting up an art gallery, but it's set up in an art store. Like there's this space in the back that's got this gallery in it, which I think is a great idea, because I know when I go see art and go see, like I saw an art battle not long ago, a few other things, I get all like fired up and like creative. They would sell so many art supplies to me by doing something like that, because I'd be all inspired by the work that I see, and then I'd want to buy just like all these paints and stuff that I saw in the works. So definitely a very, very cool concept. All right, okay. Actually, the margins are doing really well. So Keys, I mentioned to you that the margins weren't great, but there's only a couple tiny little pixels on the edge, which I don't think is going to be a problem when we start putting in the shadows and everything. When I was working really big on the dragon and the kraken, those are an 18 by 24 piece. So I found that those were a lot more impactful. So like my shadows and stuff would start throwing, coming through and kind of like impacting the view. So it'd be a lot of cleanup. So that's why I haven't done that in a while. But these are a 6 by 9, so they're a lot smaller. So the impact is a little bit lesser. So that's actually probably going to save me a lot of time. I'm sorry. I talk very fast when I get all excited. I will try and slow down. So sorry about that. Okay, so let's get some color onto our lovely snake charmers. I think we're going to use this pattern as well for their pantaloons. Whoops. See, that's what happened. So because these go lines out to the edge, they're not kind of closed up. I think, oh, I don't know if this will impact or this will do what I want. Oh, you know what? I think this is faking me out. Yeah, okay. Let me switch to this. I don't know if this will work or not. Oh, there you go. So it does impact, it uses the brush as well. So if you do run into that scenario I told you about, or you just saw where it fills the whole thing, it just means you don't have a closed line somewhere. Playing with the color margins, sometimes you can bring it down enough that it won't, like it'll just kind of ignore everything and just be like, they probably want this space filled. So you can play around with those margins and stuff, but if you do find that it fills the full space, you're welcome to just go in and with your own brush and then fill it in, and you should be okay to like fill in the gaps that you can find. Now there's not very many paper patterns on this. Just gonna go back to one of my other ones and see. Because I'm only using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we might have enough in here. I never really thought about the number of patterns that I use. I'll show you guys some of the cards that are more further developed in 2 seconds. Oh, sweet. So if you guys are available at 10 a.m., I believe Eastern, check out DTM's live stream. He's going to be live stream painting, and that's one of my favorite things. So I'm definitely going to try and make sure I have no meetings tomorrow and check that out. This looks really good. It has that pencil shading style to it. Thank you. So this pattern that I used, I'll actually bring it back up. This I created myself. This was early days fresco. And it's going to take a long time because it's early days. But what I did was I was using these paper patterns for my, oops, sorry. I just wanted to hide all other layers. That's the one I want. So when I first started using fresco, I brought these paper patterns in as photos. As you can see, they were scans from years ago and they're files that I've been using. But I wanted some that were kind of a little bit more glass-like when I was using them for stained glass. So this is actually using kind of the live brushes. I believe this is mostly the oil painting brushes. So this is watercolor, but I think it was the oil brushes, and I was like smooching them around and everything. So and I think I started with some pencil, kind of did some of that smooshing kind of approach, technical term smooshing, and moved it all around so that I could kind of get that kind of flowy glass feel to it. I have another one that I'm going to put in here actually right now, because it was another one that I created in the similar way. I just use more of the like splatter brushes and all that kind of fun stuff. So I've been using this one as kind of my background on the card so far. So really fun. I like that smooshing style. Thanks, DTM. I love it. Yeah, I have all my technical terms. You can use them all. So this gave me more of a texture that I wanted to kind of balance the paper patterns, and they've really come in handy for these cards, because these are kind of becoming this one's been kind of consistently becoming a background. And we're going to put a bunch of overlay on the back because they're going to be over... these guys are all in, it's at nighttime, and so there's going to be stars and stuff in the back, so we're going to really darken that at the end, put some black over top, and then kind of get the stars in there, but I want that texture in there to begin with. I don't think I used the liquify keys. I think I used the actual smudge tools, and then the live oil. So if you play around with on fresco with the live brushes, I've definitely used the watercolor ones on here before, not the oil ones so much, unless you watched like my very first live streams when I was very first learning fresco. I don't use a lot of oil in real life, so I always kind of forget that oil is an option here. So I definitely recommend playing around them, because you can actually kind of like moosh the paint around, and it's still like live, like it's not dry, air quotes dry, so it's actually a really cool tool. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's toss one more. I just want to put one more reveal in here, because I think oops, there it is. I just wasn't close enough to the space. And then maybe this one. There we go. Oh, there we go. Cool. We'll save this. Now we're going to toss in the red accent, which is a lot of fun. So we're going to put in photos. I tried grouping these into a grouping thing, and it just didn't save me any time. So there's one with circles. I think this one with the texture is the one I want. Yeah. Bring it down. There we go. I just want some of this, like, these border patterns to be in here. I try usually having the border, like the paper pattern, be the full page, at least cover most of it, because inevitably there'll be something that I want to put in here later. And then having made this small, I've gotten in my own way, but I think we're okay here because it's just red accents. As long as this covers the sashes and the hair pieces, we should be okay. So create an empty mask and invert said mask, and then we will do a reveal here, here, here. Oh, this is so much faster, Keys. We're gonna finish this card today. Yeah, like I said, it didn't work. The reveal didn't work great on the other pieces, so I didn't really, just because they were so much bigger. So this is working way better, so I'm super stoked about it. Okay, so what we'll do now, because we're going to do some shading and stuff, I guess. Look at us go. Okay, so the red is there. I didn't draw attention to this. I'm so sorry. I made sure to put the red pattern above our hue saturation layer. So you can see on the right, there's the red pattern, and then you can see all the colored ones below, but they're all black and white because they're underneath that hue saturation layer. So they're all black and white, which is what I want, but I want the red accent, so it is above that layer. So that's going to be really helpful for me when I'm going back and forth between the different colors and doing the shading, because I'm going to have the shading layers underneath that hue saturation adjustment as well. So if I accidentally grab like a color brush and put it on there, it's not going to accidentally be red over top of the snakes. It's going to be, it'll still come out black and white because I've plucked all the color out of it. So when I'm doing, especially this part of it won't be so bad, but when I'm doing those final touches and I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, it should help me stay on track and have no color be anywhere it's not supposed to be. Okay, so I'll show you where we're going to go with that next. Oops, that's not what I wanted at all. So I'm going to do a multiply layer here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to darken up that sky. So we've got this. I think I'm going to want it way bigger than that. Yeah, huge monstrous brush. I multiplied this, right? Okay, sweet. Okay. So because this is our behind the scenes layer, he says, "You're welcome. Admittedly, it's a time-saving trick I use in Photoshop. I'm here for time-saving tips. I always used to think like these kind of like shortcuts, it was like cheating or like lazy until it got me producing more art faster to get all these ideas out on paper. Now I don't feel that way. I think it's why is that the case? Oh, I know why. Nope, don't do that. Okie dokie. But yeah, I don't think they're, it's laziness or anything at all anymore. That was just evil me. So yeah, it's just one of those things where you're just like, no, anything that can get the ideas out on that paper faster, let's go for it. So I'm just throwing down some dark brushes. Now I'm not getting too aggressive with it because I like some of the pattern to come through. I don't want this to be a solid black. But some of the black is peeking through here now because of the way I did this, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so if you ever want to use your own textures or anything, I definitely recommend playing around with them in fresco. And just kind of playing around with some of the brushes, because that's how I got these, and they're super helpful to my process, and it taught me a lot about the tools and how they worked, and how to interact with them. So I definitely strongly recommend playing around with the tools and finding out what they can do, because I just needed that counterpart for my brushes, for my patterns. Sorry, that wasn't clear. Yeah, you're right. Well, and the best part about all the layers, Keys just said, I think the background's too dark now. We are going to put a lot more shadows and a lot more layering on this. So we do have the power, like I feel like it's not going to feel that way in a bit, but if it does, because it's its own layer, we can pull it back just a touch or a lot and really darken it up. So that's why I'm like full of layers, because then we can pull this all back and do lots of colors and stuff on it. Now, highlight layer? What's happening here? How come the brush isn't showing up there? Because I just wasn't painting it, that's fine. Oh, you know what it is doing? It was doing that paint inside thing, which is fine. There we go. Okay. So I think I pulled this back to a like 76 for now. We'll come back to it a little bit more. I just wanted to throw that down because I want to keep in mind that it's really dark there, so I can make sure that the snakes and stuff pop really nicely. So do I want to do the stained glass first or the main ones first? Let's see. What did I do for my... I think I'm going to do the stained glass one first. Okay. So we're going to get into shading the stained glass pieces. So I'm just going to put this here, and I'm going to make sure it's a multiply layer, because I want where the shadow comes up to be reflecting some of the paper patterns. And we're going to get started. Now, if you're going to give this a shot, always consider your light source, where it's from. My automatic is always top left, and I'm keeping it for this project consistently that way so that I don't have one card that stands out that's causing a ruckus. So well, let's just try that again. Okay. So all I'm doing here is creating a, it's far too dark, so we're gonna go with a, oh, like a 50-ish. Another silly question: does the author of this novel know you're doing these? No. Well, I've reached out to their PR team to see if I could do this. I have not heard back. But no, that's why I've pulled extremely far back. Like, these are very kind of, that I'm being very adamant that this is a Night Circus inspired piece. It could, like, I just don't want to offend anybody and all that. I don't want to be rewriting other people's characters. So really what I'm doing is taking inspiration from her book and creating the cards of my own. So using direction from her book, but then fully making them my own and moving forward with it. It is something that kind of held this project up for a very long time, because I didn't want to get like any, I don't want to be offending the author. I don't want to be crossing any lines. But I took out all of the kind of like actual character details and inspirations and things. for that very reason. None of them are going to have faces. As you can see, we don't even have like a face on these creatures, but that's fully intentional. And then there's a few cards that I'm just going to make for my own. So definitely something to be careful of when you're doing art. There's also like fan art, which is such a vague area as well. But I do not intend to be selling this. This is just a pure enjoyment piece for myself. So we'll see how it goes. RB is here. Hello, RB. Happy Canada Day, almost July 4th. And any other celebrations of other countries that may be around. I am not unaware of them. So if there is one, let me know. Let's celebrate it too. Not sure how it could be considered offensive. I think like the problem would be like if I put myself in the shoes of an author, I've worked really hard to create these characters and all these other kinds of things, and then little me in my studio comes along and is like, this is what they should look like, and I just like I feel like I'm stepping on toes when it comes that way. So that's why I'm just being very adamant that it's inspired, and I just don't want to be pulling like using other people's art to make my own art or being taking credit for it. I want to make sure that everybody's getting the right credit. But I'm a few hours my phone away from Canada. Yeah, that's it. I know everybody's kind of all over the place. Hey, it doesn't prevent you from having some sort of celebratory beverage or food. Any excuse for, you know, a hamburger or a hot dog. There you go. So I see a few more coming and going. So this is a tarot deck that I am building. This is card. We have 3 full cards done. Well, 3 full like art pieces done for the cards, and then 2 halves done. So this one, I started it before the other one was done because I wanted to go through my drawing process. So I'm continuing with it. And then the second, the other card is mid-process as well. We're at about the coloring process. And I'll wrap it up maybe on a live stream or just on my own. And then once those are done, we're going to get into the border, the back of the card, all that kind of fun stuff, to start piecing these guys together. I just wanted to make sure I had at least 2 2 black and white cards and 2 color cards, which I will have at the end of this, so that I know that the border and everything will work for both styles. And then we'll get on to the next thing. I'm very excited. I just always want to be working on this, and then my market stuff and, you know, basic adulting, you know, gets in the way. Mostly the adulting. I'm down to do the market stuff. Basic adulting. Someone can get AI to do my dishes instead of making art. That would be super awesome. Oh dear, that's just the worst attempt at a line. Let's try it again. Ooh, RB says he's thinking of making my pencil sketches in Illustrator. Remaking my pencil sketches in Illustrator as soon as I find some time. Amazing. Definitely stream that. I'll check it out for sure. Because that's what I'm using my live streams for. Like, I hope it's not going to get too boring. The cards are kind of picking up a speed, so I think we've got enough content to have a bit of a variety each night. But I'm definitely using it for my personal fun work, so that the work can, and the busy work that isn't as fun to watch can happen on the sidelines. So definitely stream that, RB. I'll check it out for sure. He says, couldn't say it is the case with this author, but I remember hearing that a lot of authors are starting to study the visual arts so they can describe things better. Definitely. And actually, in the case of this author, the author of The Night Circus is Erin Morgenstern. And I might have it here. I do. She actually has her own deck that she watercolored, I think, while she was working on this book. So I have it here so that I don't copy too much. Like, let me see if I can get this card up. They're not really like from her book so much, but she watercolored them. So it's not so much specifically like her characters. It's all black and white. Just trying to think of, there's one that might be, she's got a lot of like the more literal. So like when the Queen of Swords, she actually has a sword. Where mine aren't going to be that literal, which may not make it a tarot deck, but they all the cards, the faces and the content of the card was chosen because it relates to the naming of the card and all that kind of stuff. So I think she approached it a little differently. But yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense for them to study the visual arts to make, especially if you have a very visual type book. He says, eventually hoping their work will be adapted into the arts, or but mostly film adaptations. Definitely, yeah, because I think that's a big thing right now, where almost any book you see is going to become a movie or a TV show. So yeah, I'd be surprised if some authors did not regularly keep that in mind, just for their own purposes and things. And yeah, it only makes sense to kind of explore what's going on. Like, I would be surprised if this author didn't go to circuses regularly to see what's inspiration she wanted to find there. So yeah, I think that just makes a lot of sense to see what artists are doing. And I know there's a lot of fan art out there. Like there's some books she just posted on her Instagram. They're like an illustrated version of the books. It's like, I want a copy of that, but it's like $1,500. It's like, I will look at it from afar. It's beautiful. Like, they're really nice, and they have prints and things. So I think it's probably not that big of a deal. I'm probably more worried than I need to be about doing something like this. I just want to respect the artist, because I'd want someone to respect my work as well. So that's just where my concern comes in. But yes, and it's hard with some books like this where like it'd be shocking if people weren't inspired visually. Like, if you read it, you'll see how like there's just a lot of visual nuances. Like the way it's written, like the way she wrote it, kind of like a circus, so that it jumps over time, which doesn't really, I didn't find impact the reading style. You piece everything together, but everything's in kind of like short little chapters. So like you read about the snake charmers, but they're just like a 1-page chapter, and it moves on to the next thing. So it's kind of written in that sporadic style. And each one's very like detailed and creates a lot of visuals, which is what inspired this madness project. I'm gonna look at it from afar. Yeah, I want to support artists in their work, but that is an amount of money I currently need in my pocket. I get it, especially, and I didn't look too far, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if they were hand painting these, like if these were kind of like, there's 3 of these and you can't get any more. That makes a lot of sense. So I can't recall that I researched too deeply into how they were sold, or where they came from, or how many of them there are. I totally respect artists selling for what their work for what it's worth, for sure. We should not be shortchanging them. But that's just a little bit more than I can afford at this current time. Okay. Now, one thing I did mention earlier that I did not factor into my brain at all, it was that The gradual color change of the snakes may impact the shading, but we may be okay to just keep going with this brush color. Like I was thinking I might have to go darker, but we'll see as this color change happens if we need to do that at all. Because I think as the pattern gets darker and it's on a multiply, we might be okay. We'll see how it looks. After drawing many snakes, I prefer line shading. That's cool. That's interesting, actually. I have not explored that very strongly. I think I'm not patient enough for it. But I could see how like the line shading or cross hatching or hatching over full shadow would be a great approach to a snake, because you kind of get that almost like the reptile scaly kind of approach almost by accident, which is kind of nice, or have it do two duties, which is great. I know when I was at school we did a big project on like stippling and line art and hatching and things like that, and I always really respect that art because it's a lot of work. There's actually an artist, I'm not going to be able to pull their name right now, but they I watched them on Instagram and it's all stippling their work and I'm just impressed. But they do huge like wall size pieces and just like I respect everything. I just not certain I'm patient enough. Like my stippling would kind of end up being like little check marks almost because I'm just not slow enough to do the things. I want to keep going with the idea. But yes, I think the cross hatching would be a great idea for sure. Maybe I could try that on the second print that I'm going to do with them back to back. I can try a style. Great sizes are best for, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I think at this size it's really small, and so like every little mistake will be very obvious. Not that you're making any mistakes, RB. Any mistakes that I would do would be more easily hidden in the a larger size. That makes a lot of sense. Do you draw yours at a large size? Because I have a follow-up question if you do. Cool. Okay, so my follow-up question is, first we have Mufti, a few hours in from Pakistan. Amazing. Thank you for tuning into the stream tonight. I appreciate it. Okay, so my follow-up question is, if you're using a really large size, and I assume you're using some sort of fine liner or some sort of marker, like fine liner pen of some kind, how many pieces, like either how many pieces can you get out of a fine liner, or how many fine liners does it take to make a piece? Because I keep seeing these on Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, all the fine liner purchases. Zohaib Khan, welcome to the stream. Fine liner 3 plus a chisel marker. Cool. I love it. Because I always see people doing those big pieces and I just imagine this pile. 3 to 5 fine liners for one piece. Oh my goodness gracious. I usually just picture this pile of like used up fine liners. And I'm just like so jealous because I love a fine liner. I love using all my markers and doing all the kind of stuff. But since I've been mostly digital lately, my kind of like supply run through has been a little bit less. So, oh, and any excuse to buy a fine liner. That's amazing. That's very cool. Because I've always wondered how many it would take, because my pieces, I could get so many different pieces out of a fine liner, but I'm just using it for shadows or inking. So I was just curious as to how much. So thank you for answering my question. So we're just getting some shadows into the snakes here. We're seeing some of the new pattern. I think we're doing okay. Whoops. Oops. There we go. Oh dear. Oh dear. Mm-hmm. It is kind of easy to do it digitally. Okay, I will keep that in mind. Excellent. But now all this talk of fine liners, now I gotta get my markers out. It's even better when you work in vector. Yeah, I bet. Clean up those little messy kind of like, because like I said, I go really fast, so it ended up being like little check marks and stuff. So I imagine it would go a lot quicker in vector. Keep your pen under control, especially digitally. You have those kind of different controls and pressure sensitivities that you can turn off and on. 1 a.m. Oh my gosh, thank you for tuning in. 1 a.m. Yuck. Although I do really like taking in art stuff at 1 a.m. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you. 95 Fahrenheit. Blech. Yeah, no, I believe that. The heat is not my jam. So let me just. Oh, okay, so I just converted it to Celsius. 35 degrees Celsius. That's not my jam either. We came off a big string of heat last week. It finally broke last week, and I was so happy, because it's just, I'm a winter person. I am a cool breeze, no more than like 22 degrees person. And it was, like today was like 24, 25, and it's like perfection. But no, sleeping in 35 is no fun. So I appreciate you spending some time with us. Almost like all the humans have Fahrenheit. Don't worry about it. I think it's just us hanging out here with our Celsius. Not to worry, I just converted it for myself. Oh, yuck. 42. Yuck. That's not my favorite. Do not love that. Don't love that for you. Hopefully it breaks soon. Hopefully it'll cool off maybe. Or is that, are you in a part, I forget, I'm blanking on the part of the world you're in. I'm so sorry. Or is it just not going to break until wintertime? What if we use some sharp brushes on it? We will at some point use some sharp brushes on this. The idea here is we're going for a stained glass piece, and I'm going to save because it is lagging. We're using some stained glass pieces right now, so that we're kind of trying to give each shape a little bit of an effect. So right now we're using soft brushes to give it that kind of shadowy look. Excellent. Okay, well, I'm glad there's some relief on the way, hopefully soon, RB, because long strings of that is no fun. I prefer to be cool, and I'm lucky enough to have an air conditioner here, but it's just not the same. I'd rather have all my windows open and like the fresh air kind of flowing through, and you can't do that with 42 degrees. So we do have some lines to clean up. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to, we'll just keep going with this. No need to apologize. I'm here for suggestions. I'm here for people to give ideas and feedback. I love it. Just wanted to give you some context for the decisions that are being made. For the heat, I have no doubt in Pakistan you might die. Yes, I think heat's just not my thing. Yeah, AC just makes it worse. Mixing hot air with the stale inside. It's like a sauna. Yeah, no fun. Yeah, I find it really dry. Like I have it on so that we can sleep, and you know, I don't want Mojo to die. So we got to keep things warm and a little bit cooler in here, but it's not my favorite. I'd rather have the windows wide open. There's too much hot. Yeah, not my favorite. But it's more like a humid heat is kind of my problem, because like the air's like thick and you're like swimming in it and stuff like that. Sometimes I don't find a dry heat as bad. Like I went to Mexico once and it was really hot there, but it was more of a dry heat when we were there, so I didn't feel as bad. But I prefer to be in like a huge hoodie under 10 blankets. That's my happy place. So avoid the madness. Oh no. Not working AC. That's brutal. 16 Celsius where you are, Keys? My goodness. That's nice. See, I like that. Especially for sleeping. Like if it has to be really hot during the day, fine. But it's the sleeping. It's really hard to sleep when it's hot out. All right, so actually what I'm going to do, we'll take a small break here and I'm going to show you some of the other cards. Oh, we've got some comments first. The worst ever experience is Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Heavy rain overnight and huge humidity during the day. It'd be like swimming when you go outside. There's no such thing as AC in the entire country, I think. Well, that would be nice. Okay, so this is the card we did last time. This is the last finished card. This is Prospero. And it's a color card, obviously, not one of our black and white cards. And this is one of our major arcana, which is kind of like the, there's like 4 suits and then the major arcana, which are kind of like the big deal cards. And so he's one of our first ones. And then we have our fortune teller. These are all very large files. I have to get them off here so that they don't crash and get ruined. But she, despite all the beaded colors, is actually a black and white card because this is one of the tents that are at the circus. And, but she's mostly black and white. Love how she came together. And then we have the kittens, which is the first card we worked on. This is the one that kicked everything off because I finally had an idea for how I wanted to do it, and I was like, let's just go while I'm thinking about it. And so this is another black and white card. So those are 3 that are done, and then we have this card, which is the other half done. I have some of the patterns laid out and stuff here, but she's almost ready to go as well. So those are some of the cards that we're trying to like keep in style with. Yeah, like 22-hour daytime. It'd be too hot in Sandland. That sounds perfect to me, Keys. No need for air conditioning. I'm like planning it out. Like there's always like like we have a heat wave coming along soon. So I'm like, oh, I should put the air conditioner on the night before so that it doesn't have to work too hard. And then trying to get the cross breeze, and it just don't be hot. Be nice and cool outside. That would be really nice. Yeah, it's half situation. One can now see the worrying degree of global warming happening. I hear ya. Yeah, it's showing the impact, because even actually where I am in Canada, they just announced recently that like I don't know what area of Ontario, because Ontario is huge, but it has just been kind of like named as a kind of tornado alley, which Canada did not have. We'd always talk about that in like the States and things because it's more closer to the equator and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they just said that a part of Ontario is kind of like a tornado alley now, which is really scary this far north. It's pretty intense. So yeah, you do start seeing those impacts, Hues for sure. And all like the wildfires and things like that. So yeah, things are pretty scary. So hopefully we can get something under control or get resources in place ahead of time, because they're starting to really impact on a grander scale, where normally there'd be like one big fire we'd be worried about in a year. There's already been like 3 or 4 evacuations in Canada alone already, and it's just July, right? So yeah, I agree, Keys, it's very scary. Okay, just a few more pieces and then we'll see how this comes together. See if we need to change the brushes at all. Anybody do anything exciting over their weekend? As I mentioned, have a long weekend here, so I've been doing lots of busy work. I'm traveling a little bit in July, so I thought I'd get a lot of markets prep done ahead of time, and a few other things sorted out. Hanging out with Mojo. We were out in the park earlier today because it was actually nice outside, so we got some illustrating done and some training done. Kind of low key for 4 days, which was nice. You know how there's this habit of counting your calories by what food you eat? Well, carbon is the next best thing. Trying to count that carbon footprint. I don't know the answer to that one, Multi. Hey, welcome to the stream. Live on Behance. Special 2-hour holiday session. Welcome to the stream. All right, 2 more sections here and I'll zoom out and show you guys how it's coming together. Yeah, I'm not sure what I don't know enough about that, to be honest, to recommend a YouTube channel. I think a quick Google might be your best bet there. That is not my forte. All right, here we go. Coming together. So we are working on the next tarot deck card, Snake Charmers. I'm starting to get some color on here because Keys gave me an idea that sped up the process. Otherwise, I'd still have no red on here. So we're just putting in the shading and highlights for some of the stained glass pieces. I think I actually probably could be a little bit more aggressive with some of those shadows, but I'm just comparing to the other ones. We might be okay. We might be okay. We need a little bit of a something something here. Okay, rather than continuing with that, we'll throw in a new, this new layer, and we're going to do overlay on this one instead. Erase, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want either. We want to go white. Oh, we've got Alessandra in the chat. Hello, Alessandra. Welcome to the chat. We are working on the Snake Charmers. Just trying to make a overlay decision here. Yeah, I don't want to go full white because I don't want those. I want to save a white brush for any highlights I might want to do at the end. Thanks, Alessandra. We got all their color in. Super fun. It is a black and white card with red accents. And we're just kind of starting our shading. So I'm just working on the one snake right now so we can see some progress go through. But we made lots of progress tonight. I'm very excited. How was your weekends? So it's just subtle here, but I do find that when I do put this in, it's more noticeable, like on a whole, if that makes sense. Like you might not notice right away, but it definitely gives it a good rounded feel, which is really nice. So when I get a few more of these in, I'll turn off the layer and you'll see what I mean. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. Alrighty. So see, you can't really tell too much, but when you turn it off and on, it gives it that little bit of kind of a glow, which I like. The overlay is a lot of fun, especially when you do it over top of the red or like the colored patterns, especially kind of the golds brown tan ones, because the overlay, if you use just kind of like a white or an off-white, it kind of creates a glow, kind of a burn effect, which makes it look like it's glowing, which really helps the effect along. So although it's really subtle, it really pushes the effect really far, which is nice to see. Oops. Hey, Moch. Hey, Moch. Good boy. Oh, no. Let's just undo all this. The heck? Okay, well. So, what the? Sorry, I think I lost Facebook. Hang on. No, just leave the neighbors be, okay, bud? Oh no, we're still here. No, just leave the neighbors be, okay, bud? Huh. That was weird. Okay, I'm just glad we're all still here. Alessandra says, I really love the texture in this. Thank you. We have just a few patterns in here, but I really like, you'll like this. Oops. You can see the snakes, they go from white to black. And so we've got 3 different paper patterns making the snakes here. So stoked. It came together really nicely. It's very smooth. I was worried that going from one pattern to the next would be very challenging, or it wouldn't look as smooth as that. But it seems to have come together quite nicely. So what's new, Alessandra? I'm sorry I missed your live streams this weekend. It's been a holiday weekend here, so I've been kind of out and about and getting a bunch of projects done. I haven't been on very many live streams, unfortunately. Hoping to get back to that routine next weekend. For your event for next month. Cool. Is this another one of the is it like a market one, or is this one of the library events that you have going on? Oh, it's your birthday next month. That's the best time. Draw it out for the whole month. That's what I try and do. Oh, a trip for you and your family. Fun. I did that for my 30th birthday. I went to California. It was awesome. No! My fat thumb's erased. Oh, poo. Okay. And that's the thing with a touchscreen. I went to zoom out or zoom in at one point. I accidentally erased some of my shadows, but luckily it's on its own layer, so it'll be easy for me to revisit and clean up a little bit later. Oh no, so silly. That's the other thing when it's hot outside. The touchscreens are very sensitive. California, that's boring. Oh, I'm a huge movie person, RB. And so that's where all the movie things were. And this is an art market event. Fun. When is yours? Because I just signed up for a new one, and I'm going to be doing another one in August. Well, the start of August, August 3rd. And then I have one in October, and then I have one in November. Chaos. Oh, just kidding. I was living there. That's funny. I find people who live places find the place boring. And then people who visit the place are like, what's wrong with you? To each their own, man. To each their own. August 17th. Woohoo! So close. It's a busy time. Do you have one in November? Because if you want in November, then we're both copying each other. Mine is on Canada Thanksgiving weekend in October. And then mid-November for the other one. So I'm hoping to get kind of some Christmas shoppers. Oops. Oops, I already did that. Coming together. Woohoo! Oh, Mojo, we're gonna go outside in a minute. You're just outside for so long. Now you don't want to be inside. You can't make up your mind, Goose. I really like how the overlay and sometimes the multiply, depending on the pattern and the brush color we have, how it really pulls some of the pattern details out. Excuse me. Come here. Come here. Thank you. Just settle, please. Thank you. We're almost done. Like you can see that wheel on that pattern. You couldn't really see it before. That bit of overlay brush kind of really pulls that texture out, which is a lot of fun. So that's why I use the overlay and the multiply brushes and layering, so that I'm not covering up the paper patterns too much. Oops. Fine. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I think we'll keep working on this one snake so that we can see a little bit more of the process. Some of you are pretty regular to the stream, so you'll know that this is the case. But for those of you who are newer, normally what I would do is do all of the shading on all of the stained glass and then all of the highlights on all the stained glass, just so I know I'm consistent with how like the brush strokes go, because sometimes like I'll get really zoomed in and do a lot. Like a lot more shading, or in this case I just kind of did a little tiny bit. That way at least it would be consistent from start to finish. But I've been also doing this for quite a while, so I think it's kind of like ironing itself out. Anyway, I would normally just do all the highlights, all the shadows, and then go into these darker ones next. But that's kind of not fun to watch on a live stream, so that's why I'm doing this kind of all of this one snake in a go, and then we can you can see the process and kind of how it would come together. I have a question for you folks in North America, since there are art markets events going on by a veritable higher margin than elsewhere in the world. Have you found art from elsewhere that is as desirable? I'm not really sure for the context of your question. Like, I think Europe's full of art events. Definitely 100% lots of art events there, depending on what you're looking for. And like the ones that we've got here, like there's a lot of festivals and things I find, in at least in my area, music festivals and food festivals and things, just because we can be outside and everybody wants to be outside. So almost every other weekend there's some sort of big event, like there's a beer festival, taco festival, things like that. So some of the stuff that I've been applying to has been kind of vendors adjacent to that. Other ones that I've been doing, most of the ones I've been doing have been kind of art or homegrown artists, all that kind of stuff. Those kinds of markets and things, and finding them is just kind of a matter of kind of being in the know, or like being in the loop on what people are doing, and then you talk about it enough times, the algorithm starts sending them to me. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our shading layer, because for this kind of this mushy texture, I use a different approach. I don't use the same kind of shading because it's such a little bit of a flatter tone pattern. It doesn't have as much going on as the patterns do, sorry. I use a different shading technique to give it a little bit of extra. October, my brother's birthday's in October. Oh, right on Halloween though. Oh my goodness. Although it makes for some interesting birthday parties though, I guess. That's pretty cool. Okay, I think I didn't do that the way I wanted to, and I didn't. I had an initial vision and I goofed it. Okay, I don't want the overlay, I want the shadow. So we're going to go here. And I want to go to my favorites, and I want to go to, yeah, that's the one I want. Just thinking about loud about the feasibility of making an online store. I think a lot of artists right now, Keys, are doing kind of a little bit of everything. Like, I have an online store, I'm on social media, and this is my first year trying to kind of like out in the world things. So it's really a matter of kind of like figuring out what will work for you, though. And I think the biggest thing for me right now has been trial and error. What do people want to do? What do people want to see? What works, what doesn't? And unfortunately, there's not really like a one size fits all, I don't think, right now. So it's a matter of seeing what works. And if you can market your stuff and you can ship your stuff over the world, go for it. I would suggest you use opposing blend modes for reflective scales. Try and see if you can extrapolate shine. Ooh, I like that idea. Have it be shiny snakes. Interesting. I do like that idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about like the stuff that would be in your area, but there's lots of sites that will help you do these kinds of things. There's also a lot of websites, and I'm just starting my research, so I can't really say anything for that I would back just yet, but there's places that'll do like print on demand. So if you're worried about having stock, like I just have this little space, so I don't really want stock. So there's print on demand available if your art lends to that. Online stores, but I think really just online stores never hurt to get exposure and stuff. And I just update my shop as I update my market things. Mm-hmm. Exactly, like RB says, yeah. Great option, easy to promote, and lots of places have like the different sites I mentioned. They'll have hopefully lots of ways to make it like really easy to update and all that kind of stuff. But that's research to see what will work with what you already have set up. And a lot of them are pretty cost effective too. Like I don't pay for my current online shop, but I pay like per transaction kind of thing. Some are a flat fee, some are a monthly fee. It really depends on where you're at and what they offer in your area, to be honest. And when you make it available online, don't be shy to push the notification to all you know. Yes, that's a big thing for me. When I have an update or a shop update, or if I have a market coming up, I feel like I'm like annoying people, but really people don't see every post. And almost every time I push something, I would make a sale. So you got to promote yourself. Because word of mouth is a big thing, so you got to at least have people come into your site, like RB says, even if they just go to your site for a second, it might trigger something and be like, oh, you know what? Or even like I've told people about my pieces and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then something comes up like, oh, teacher gifts, that's a good idea, and then they'll think of me a little bit later. So we got to talk about our work. We got to brag about ourselves. It's a big practice this year for me. Word of mouth is the best thing. I don't think I emphasized that when I said it. Word of mouth has been huge for me, to be honest. The social media algorithm's getting in my way quite a bit. Some social media stuff is working and it's really helping, but the word of mouth has been kind of the thing. Okay, so now we have a few more minutes. I'm going to throw in another multiply layer to show you what's going on. But we're going to go for a bigger brush. Last 10 years or so, most of my work is based on word of mouth. That's huge. Because usually people will really they'll go with what they know, but also people will go with they want to support coworkers and family members and stuff like that, but it's usually from a trusted source, and that's key. And if you don't have to pay advertising fees, that's key too, RB. Everything costs money now. It's exhausting. Why is that? Oh, because it's not the brush I want. That's why. Hey, Booger, it's not time yet, okay? Come here. Do you want to come say hi to everybody? Come here. Come here. Come say hi and we'll go for a walk. And if no, come here, please. I only 15 minutes left. You can come sit with me. Come say hi to all the people, okay? What is your opinion about online shops and word of mouth? That was gross. He has no opinion. That was super gross, but okay. Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. RB says I'm okay with paying for ads, just saying you don't need to do as much as before, and that's the thing too. Like it's frustrating that things cost money, and it's that they do that, but sometimes it's the way to pay it off. I think just doing the research like you're doing, Hues, ahead of time is great, rather than just kind of just off the cuff, just buying the first ad you like. Take a look at what makes the most sense for you. I think I was offered an ad in like a golf brochure or something, and I was just like, this doesn't make sense to me. These aren't the people that I want to be. It doesn't make work to my thing. But unfortunately, like RB says, to make money you need to spend some. Just do your research and see, just so that you are able to make sure that you're at least attempting to put your money in a place that will help you, rather than just tossing it out, because sometimes it's just money for money, or money into venues that don't really lend to artists either. So talk to your fellow artists, do what you're doing, do this research, and just make sure that you're putting your money where it'll help you in the long run as best you can, or that won't put you in a tough spot, so that if it doesn't work, that you can recoup and try something else. Don't put all the eggs in one basket there. Alright, so this is our darker shadows that we toss in to start showing that kind of paper layering. It's a little more darker and aggressive, but I really want to show that kind of depth into the piece. So let's put it this way. If Hues has a ton of good art but nobody knows about it, it's just something to brag about to your friends and family. As soon as it goes public, it's a potential moneymaker. So why not spend some change to make it public? Accurate. And like that's what I was doing with my markets this year, is trying, because a lot of my stuff is on the socials, and the algorithm wasn't really helping me get too far out. I was still kind of like testing my social media approach. But I was like, I need to be out in the world and have people see what my art looks like, and then kind of get that unbiased opinion of my piece. So yeah, pay the table fee, go out. It cost me nothing in advertising, because I was using the promoter of, like, the person running the market was doing the promotion for us. So we kind of piggybacked off that, and just kind of, it only cost me my time, pay the table fee, buy the product, and get it all together. But then like the unbiased opinions and the feedback I got there was huge. So yeah, so whatever kind of advertising or out in the world you want to do, yeah, some money's got to go out to do the thing. And you don't know until you try either. Like that's my thing this year, is like I want to throw all this out here and kind of give it a shot, but I won't know if I don't try it. And if people don't like my work and aren't going to respond to it, I have at least learned that. Giving it a solid shot. Yeah, a couple dollars got to be spent. $1 or $2. $10. Okay. Definitely. Don't forget, keys. For any art, there's a client somewhere. 1,000%. Someone's looking at your work and is super excited. And so you never know, but you got to put it out there. Oops. That's another thing. Start small, be available at all times, let people know you're there. Yeah, and like kind of back to the word of mouth, just when people ask you what you're working on, or like how your day is going, how are things, that's my window. Be like, I am doing great, I'm in my studio all the time, here's what I made recently. Again, not my method. Usually just, oh, I'm good, thanks, yeah, things are busy, yeah, look at the weather. But no, you gotta talk about your work and know what you're up to, what you're interested in. Oh, I just did this commission for so-and-so the other day. Other people will follow along. Any of my freelance work has definitely been word of mouth, all on its own. I haven't had a chance to get it up on my website because my commissions are full already. And it might feel like that, let people know you're there. It might feel like you're being annoying. You're not being annoying. Just tell people what's going on. Because the way social media and stuff works, they're almost never seeing every single post. So you got to send a couple out to make sure you get everybody. Okay. Let's do this. Hey, this is all part of the art business. We all would love to become famous sitting in our living rooms by accident one day. Unfortunately, we gotta go do out these things. I would have been perfectly fine being an employed unknown, but employed. You know, just gotta give it a shot. Get out there. Yeah. RB speaks the truth. it's all a struggle bus. But I also find too, like, I don't feel as weighed down with my artwork and the studio business as I do with my work. But I also I'm pretty new to the studio part, so can't really speak honestly just yet about that, but I'm really passionate about this. So you got to go with what you feel. But it's work. And yeah, RB has a lot more experience in this than I do. And it's definitely one of those things that you just have to keep working at. And it's a lot of work because, like, when you're doing this, like, I'm doing it by myself, but I'm doing the social media, I'm doing the shipping, I'm doing the packaging, the updating. It's a lot of work. But if you're excited about it, it won't feel like a lot of work. But it is work. It is work. But you can do it. I believe in you. Start small, too. Like I think RB said, start small. So, like, I started with a coloring book. And that was it. And then we try other things. See what works and what doesn't. But not to worry. This chat is welcome here. This topic is welcome here. Because I think all artists want to know what other artists are doing. Because it's ever-changing and not one size fits all, unfortunately. So they all want to know what everybody's up to. Sweet. So the idea with these bigger shadows here is to get that leveling, that level look. Just pop things up a little bit more. I'm going to be going to do, going through all the little different belly pieces too to add some more. Oh, we have some more here. I tried to do an online store but haven't been successful with it. One important thing to know, Keys, as what Erin says, if you're ready to do it all by yourself and happy to do it, then this is for you for sure. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but there's also a lot of resources available. Talk to people. If like markets are a situation, I talk to every person I see at a booth. What are you doing? What's up? How are you doing this? Who's promoting this? Keys that you do. I talked to one artist. She does jewelry, and she put me on a group chat that has local feedback on markets. Definitely do this one. Don't do that one. Here's what I experience. Here's how I do my taxes. Here are how I do my get my business resources, all that kind of stuff. So talk with people and see, especially in your area, because I know things, especially like the kind of the money legally taxi side of things, will be different for everybody. So talk to people in your area and see what they're doing, because there's always resources there that can help you with this kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope we were able to help you a little bit. And Alessandra said I tried an online store but haven't been successful with it. You know, sometimes it's hit and miss. Like if I just put up my online store and I just leave it there, no, mine doesn't do well. Usually it does really well when I have an update or I put a new product, kind of like I'll do a launch at a time of the year, like holidays or something like that. That's when it tends to do really well. But I have to like promote it a lot. Like it's always on my social media, on my newsletter, all that kind of fun stuff. So there's lots of different ways to keep going, but you got to keep yammering about it too. Okay, so we're coming up to 8 o'clock. We're coming up to 2 hours of live stream, which I live for. We got a lot done today, which is super exciting. So we started with just line art, and look at all the color we've got done. Look how alive that steak looks. So great. I am going to try what you suggested, RB, with different blend options to see if we can't get like a really cool shiny effect here. I'm going to get some more shadows and things loaded up in here. But yeah, we'll definitely be probably working on this guy next week. It's a busy week ahead, so I don't anticipate wrapping this guy up right away. But we'll probably work on it a little bit more. Then maybe I'll get it to a point where we can kind of start putting in some outlines and finalizing it a little bit. But I feel really happy with what we did today. And we had a really good chat. Thank you so much for everybody for their feedback. RB, your advice is very helpful. Thank you very much. Everybody's got different wisdom from their different expertise. So, but Keys, you don't know till you try. So just give it a shot. I believe in you. You can do it. So yeah, I'll let you all get to your week. Thank you so much for joining me on this holiday Monday. I hope you had a good time. I really enjoyed it. And I'll be back next Monday doing this again. It's going to be so great. I'm so excited. So yeah, in the meantime, follow me on the socials, see what's going on there, and I will catch you all next Monday. Thanks again, everybody, to RB, Alessandra, Keys, everybody. You're the best. Thank you so much.